And so when we remove the kind of authority trust in the Catholic worldview, the Catholic institution, the church, then knowledge starts to go a certain direction. It gets, what do I say, divorced. Faith starts to break away from reason, is what I'm trying to say. In history, that started happening.
That is fascinating.
And so to me, I get to Kant. And to me, Kant is he died in 1800. So he, to me, was the officiant of the divorce of faith and reason.
But what's interesting about Kant is he's trying to save science from Hume.
And he's trying to save faith. He said, the reason why, right, I've made this break, and I say you can't prove that God exists, you can't disprove that God exists, right? You can't prove the immortality of the soul, you can't disprove the immortality of the soul. Right. The reason I've separated faith and put it here is to protect it.
Gotcha.
Right, so he's trying to preserve faith in a certain way by making it totally immune to rational scrutiny. And look at these two. These is like rationalism and fideism, right? And human reason now gets degraded. Human reason can't be as powerful. Like Belloc writes, human reason is so powerful because it's been in this Catholic milieu and related to faith. I mean, not just divine faith, meaning revelation from God and we trust his word, but think about human faith, right? We just talked about tradition, history, language. We don't learn any of this except by trusting other people's words. That is human, what used to be called human faith. So knowledge itself, and this is in Fides et Ratio, knowledge itself, right, is based, right, in a large respect on testimonial belief.
Absolutely. What is the shape of America? Is the atom a thing?
Yes. All this.
Yeah.
All this is based on testimony, faith. And so reason needs that to get going. And then we add, so I think of my picture of the relationship of faith and reason is like a kind of, there's faith at the bottom, human faith, right? And also in a certain way, like faith in the reliability of our own faculties. Right? And so there's this like basic trust in the world, in each other, right? And then we start reasoning in science and philosophy and all these disciplines are kind of developing based on that.
Yeah.
And then we have divine revelation. And divine revelation doesn't set a cap on reason. It goes down into reason and pulls it up even higher. Think, for example, of transubstantiation. So this gives human concepts, philosophy concepts that it didn't have before. So we think, well, how can Christ be in this one space? Well, he can't be in this place in the way anything else is in a place. So there has to be more than one way of being in a place. So we wouldn't have thought of that if we wouldn't have had this doctrine to try to explain the real presence.
I've heard it said that faith is like, faith is to reason what a telescope is to the natural eye.
That's good. That's good.
It doesn't usurp sight.
It extends the power. So reason is extended in its power by faith, by divine faith. And so when we divorce them, reason gets attacked, right? So even though Kant didn't want that, that is a result. I mean, what happens after Kant in the history of philosophy is we get Hegel and all these crazy idealists, right? And so then ultimately that's sort of like this weird rationalistic view of everything, right? But it ends up being completely unrealistic because all the world is made by our kind of mind. Our mind kind of projects and constructs the world. And then it's whether through concepts or through ideas or through language ultimately. I mean, this in the end is what we call postmodernism in the bad sense, right? Or relativism, as you said. It's like we just create the world out of our concepts and thinking. We can't receive it. It's not able to be received. That's not what a world is. A world is what we construct with our concepts and our language and however you run that story. And so my point is when you divorce faith and reason ends up being destroyed in the end. And so does faith, of course. They only survive, but they're meant to be married.
Say, you just said it, but say it in a different way. Why does reason get destroyed when we get rid of faith?
Because now think of this. What is the purpose of reasoning now? If it's not to go to this transcendent level, like if it's not open to mystery and divine revelation, right? What's the point of it? The only point of it is
survival.
It's the Cartesian Baconian thing. That's the point of it. But when everybody
ward off scarcity, gain more goods.
Yes. If you gain this whole world but lose your soul, what's that for? Everybody recognizes that at some level. It's all worthless. People get all they want in the end, and then they're up on the top, and they have all the money and all the power, whatever else, and they realize there's nothing here.
Oh,
see, that's what I mean. Is their reason now, and even Kant talks about this ironically, is people become misologists, people that hate reason, right? Mythology, right?
I didn't know that word,
Yeah.
mythology.
Yeah. So he says people begin to hate reason because now they try to follow things out and it doesn't lead anywhere.
What does that mean etymologically?
Hate, and logos. Yeah. So they hate reason. And he says, and he's right that is unleashed. He didn't realize that he was part of this ultimate problem. He thought he was saving reason from superstition, see? I see it looking back as a kind of satanic ploy, right? It looks like he's preserving reason. It looks like he's the biggest, fan of the enlightenment, of the power of reason, autonomy, right? All these things. We're going to make a world of peace. Like, it sounds really great. I think Nietzsche's observation later was correct, is all these people are doing disguised theology. They don't realize what they're actually doing is theology. They're trying to give you a kind of transcendentally important way of thinking and doing things on this earth without being transcendental. That's what technopoly does. It tries to replace moral thinking with science, with social science, social engineering, expertise. That's where we get answers to life's questions. And so it advertises itself as sort of meeting this deep desire that Lewis talked about in The Weight of Glory. So doesn't know that it's doing theology, but it is what theology does. So it tries to give us knowledge about God that we can kind of barely glimpse right now, but we want more of desperately. So you asked me about the causes of pessimism, right? That's where I was trying to get to, and this.
No, I see how it leads to that.
Yeah. And so I think the opposite is when people realize that reason's not going to get them the happiness they want. Well, what do they do now? Now they become this silly optimist, right? Where whatever they think's great, right? Just be happy. Just be nice. Just be happy and be nice. It's great. The world's wonderful, right? They're like bleary-eyed. They're disconnected from reality, but they desperately want the happiness that they see as offered, right? But they can't pursue it through knowledge. They can't pursue it through reason. So you have this deep, dark pessimism
Other
or
cliches.
this bleary-eyed optimism.
Other cliches of the bleary-eyed optimist, right? Everything happens for a reason. Or she's in a better place. How the hell do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe she's in a terrible place. Maybe she doesn't exist at all.
I love Chesterton's Orthodoxy. It's one of my favorite books. And he brings up this pessimism, optimism problem. And his solution, I don't know if you've heard this before, but he has a chapter in that book called The Flag of the World. And he says, what we should do is we should approach this world like Robinson Crusoe approached the wreckage, right? This is your world. This is all you have, right? So you need to be a cosmic patriot. This is the best world, right? But we're part of to make it the best world. It might be pieces and parts, but there's nothing else. So you need to be a patriot towards the cosmos, right? That's neither pessimism nor optimism. It recognizes what the pessimist says and it recognizes what the optimist wants, right? But then it says, right, there's something about the world that's already there that we need to respect, we need to follow, we need to conform to. But there's also pieces that are broken because of us, and we can help put those back together, and we can ask God for help to put those back together. And this is our project, to live in this cosmos, right? Which I've had a conversation with you. That's the word we should be using as Catholics instead of space, right? Because it's a world order, right? And that's what the word cosmos means, world order.
If you like that clip, be sure to like and subscribe. Cheers.